بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. We continue reading from Imam Al-Ghazali Quran, the Jews of the Quran and Space. The themes so far from the very beginning of Surah An-Nur revolve around adultery, fornication and adultery, the rules, whether for punishment or witnessing, if in case someone accuses a woman of adultery, the punishment for those if they could not come up with four witnesses, total four witnesses who literally see the act of penetration. What happens when a husband accuses his wife and there are no other witnesses? In this case, he takes oath 4 times. He swears that he is saying the truth, telling the truth, and the 5th time that he incurs the Allah's condemnation if he were a liar. And the same thing applies to her, that she she must swear 4 times that he is telling a lie, and the 5th time that she incurs the divine wrath if he is telling the truth. But once it reaches that stage, they cannot remain married. Then we dealt with the story of the ifk, the outrageous slander against Lady Aisha, and we explained this story, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declared her innocence in revelation. It was the hypocrites at the time who spread the gossips, and it seemed that we might go back to the some of those hypocrites. And we have dealt with those who love to see indecency, degeneracy, literally vice. We talk about even today sexual perversion, all kinds of inappropriate behavior. Those who love to spread this in society, they have being promised severe punishment, painful punishment in this life and the hereafter, and a warning not to follow the footsteps of Satan, for Satan does advocate immorality and wickedness. Ultimately, Satan would like people to become disbelievers. And the etiquettes of being in, like when you are a guest, first of all, you don't go to a house where there are no men and only women who are not your immediate, like women who are either your mother, your daughter, your grandmother, your aunt. So if it's a woman whom potentially you could marry, you should not be with her in isolation. You have no business going to spend time with socializing with her. I hope that people will understand this. It's just like I remember Steve Harvey is a well-known American TV personality, and he said, "I have no female friends." He understands. He really understands. And then certain behaviors like lowering one's gaze, both men and women, and the proper attire for women. Of course, this means in public, meaning in front of men who could potentially marry them, except for those who are in their service, who are uh, they liberally said that who are impotent one way or the other, or boys who they have they are unaware of women's nakedness. This is not really. Now we reach verse 32. Verse 32. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأنكحوا الأيام منكم والصالحين من عبادكم وإمائكم إن يكونوا فقراء يغنيهم الله من فضله والله واسع عليم. Marry off the singles among you, because of the context here mentions also bond uh, men and bond women. It means the first one is refers to the free singles, and it's not singles per se. It's anyone without a spouse. And of course, it was the case. It was the case throughout human history. It is still the case, and Islamic worldview, it will never change. Marriage is a man and a woman fulfilling the conditions that you all know. It's going to be public, it's going to have witnesses, it's going to have a dowry. The intention that the marriage is for good. You down the road, 1 month, 10 years, 50 years, you might one day find yourself in a position where divorce is the best solution for whatever. But the intention at the moment of marriage and the way, the nature of marriage contract in Islam is that it is for good. Divorce, it is still allowed, but the intention at the time should be for good. So those without spouses and the righteous of amongst the bondmen and women. The Quran says, if they are poor, Allah will reach them out of His bounty, for Allah is all bountiful, all knowing, omniscient. The this might also um, it might be necessary to address the what we have today. Today, if a man goes and typically youngish, let's say in the 20s, 30s, let's say a student who graduated from school with a BA goes and becomes a teacher and starts saving and preparing himself. In Jerusalem, it's impossible for this young man to save money to buy a house. To buy an apartment in Jerusalem, an average in Jerusalem itself, proper, he needs to save his salary for 30 years consecutive in order to get an apartment. By that time, he needs another 30 probably. It'll be the inflation would drive the price so that he might never be able to. So some cities are extremely expensive. Some places are extremely expensive. At any rate, then he wants to get married and her family have their own demands. It's typically now the girls will compare themselves to other girls, and they would like to have parties, banquets, um, lunches and dinners and reservations here and there, and honeymoon and endless line of clothing that she will not be able to wear after she becomes pregnant and after she delivers, because she changes sometimes for good. It's not about building a family. It's almost everything revolves around the wedding itself. Then the next day, of course, people disappear. same night. But the next day, there are no people to cheer them up. No one. They are on their own practically. Reality kicks in. Life, whatever they have done, it's good. Gift her, but nobody says go to that length because it's a burden on her also. She should think that whatever is she forces him to do, or her family, it's basically a burden on both. It does include her, the financial burden, whatever he will pay later on if he takes a loan or a debt. A loan, we don't talk about usury, interest. But I have seen also people I know in our neighborhood, a young man who took a very large interest loan from the bank to finance the 1001 night celebrations. That's an exaggeration, the number. At any rate, so marry off the singles among you. Don't make it a big story. Also, there are no Mr. Perfect or Miss Perfect. It's very simple. People are a package, and the Prophet ﷺ said to the انظر إليها فإنه أحرى أن يؤدم بينكم. Just have a look. Don't date. Don't go out. Have a look. See something that you like, and that's it. I mean, it's the family. People forgot. It's the family. After you see whatever you like, it's the family. Meaning that if the family is a good family, if the family is a decent family, if the family is known, the same thing applies to him. Of course, the individual has to be also uh, a good person, one way or the other. But do you like the person? But again, uh, out of all these stories, by the way, it's extremely rare for students to get married. I mean, talk about students who know each other on campuses where the student body is mixed and there is no separation, and in the campuses where boys and girls go together, it's extremely rare for them to get married. Maybe because they know each other well enough. Verse 33. So the first one ends with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will enrich them literally out of His bounty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will facilitate for them uh, so that they'll be able to get married. And just to move on, Ibn Mas'ud, it is narrated that Ibn Mas'ud himself said, التمسوا الغنى في النكاح, that seek the bounty, seek the riches in marriage itself. As an institution, it is a blessed institution, inshallah. The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith narrated by Imam Ahmad and the Tirmidhi al-Nasa'i and Ibn Majah, he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help the person who would like to get married, and out of this marriage would like to suffice himself in a halal way. المكاتب يريد الأداء, the bond, the slave who would like to be free, intends to pay. مكاتب, he will have an agreement with his master to pay a certain amount of money in exchange for his freedom, while his intention is to pay that sum of money. In fact, it is part of the understanding. If we read the whole verse, واستعف الذين لا يجدون نكاحا حتى يغنيهم الله من فضله والذين يبتغون الكتاب مما ملكت أيمانكم فكاتبوهم إن علمتم فيهم خيرا وآتوهم من مال الله الذي آتاكم ولا تكرهوا فتياتكم على البغاء إن أردنا تحصنا لتبتغوا عرض الحياة الدنيا ومن يكرههن فإن الله من بعد إكراههن غفور رحيم. وآتوهم من مال الله الذي آتاكم. So we'll just go over the verse. And let those who do not have the means to marry keep themselves chaste until Allah enriches them out of His bounty. In the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he said, يا معشر الشباب من استطاع منكم الباءة فليتزوج ومن لم يستطع فعليه بالصوم فإنه له وجاء. That's one form of the hadith that the even some scholars thought that this is obligatory to seek to get married because it protects you. This is why marriage is considered half the religion because of the impact it has on one's life. The second So we have the someone who would like to get married, and the intention is to preserve himself in a halal way, and the slave who intends to fulfill the contract, and the third one, Al-Ghazi fi sabilillah, one who is out there. His intention is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, striving on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, defending the land, the religion, the honor. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help all these. It doesn't mean that He will not help others. All that you need to do is to seek the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did marry off some of his companions who were, in the language of today, they were broke. One of them had nothing on him except his own clothing, and he could not even offer a ring of iron as a dowry. But still he married him off to a woman, and he made the dowry to teach her what he knows of the Qur'an. In fact, some scholars understood وَآتُوهُم مِّن مَالِ اللَّهِ الَّذِي آتَاكُمْ, and give them some of Allah's wealth which He has granted you. Some scholars thought that it is good. He doesn't have to, but it is good if he forfeits part of the mukataba. If the master forfeits part of that money towards the end, that will be nice to help them. And one of them was helped by the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, who was required to plant a certain number of palm trees, and the Prophet ﷺ encouraged the companions just to help their brother. It's an amazing thing how those slaves have these rights, and you know very well that a woman slave who gives birth, she becomes a free woman. Now, those who used to, in the pre-Islamic period, to force their woman slaves to prostitute themselves, they were forced to. Islam prohibited this, and ولا تكرهوا فتياتكم على البغاء إن أردنا تحصنا لتبتغوا عرض الحياة الدنيا ومن يكرههن فإن الله من بعد إكراههن غفور رحيم. Do not force your uh, slave girls into prostitution for your own worldly gains, while they wish to remain chaste. So it's prohibited. And if someone coerces them, then after such a coercion, Allah is certainly all forgiving, most merciful to them. My understanding goes beyond this. If a woman is sexually abused, if a woman is trafficked against her own will, like about human trafficking, and this is rampant in many Western countries, even other countries as well. These women, uh, they are not to be blamed for the situation in which they find themselves. Um, Sometimes some of them will be tricked. They might be told that they will work whatever good, normal, professional work in whatever country they are. They think that this is an opportunity for them. Some of them do get that kind of decent job. Uh, I can think of many just cases who did work. There's nothing that nothing happened to them. Some of them, their story is beautiful. Uh, a servant from an African country who worked in Lebanon. She really paid for his son's tuition to become a pilot, and she left Beirut. Imagine on a flight piloted. The captain was her son. She did not know. It was a surprise. That is very beautiful, very touching. So it's possible for these jobs to be real, but also sometimes they are fake. And in one case, it was very sad. I uh, I traveled from Jeddah to I went to Hajj at the time I was in Malaysia. I went to Hajj, and you fly to Jeddah and you fly back from Jeddah. And right next to me there was a woman from Indonesia, so she would be going traveling through Kuala Lumpur as transit. Uh, and she spent few years in Jeddah serving a family there. The sad story. So nothing bad happened to her, but there's something good that could have happened. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala reward her for her intention. She was never. She lived literally about an hour away from Mecca, and she's a Muslim. She was never allowed to perform. She spent a couple of years serving that family. She was never allowed to perform Umrah or Hajj. Imagine this: someone from Indonesia ending up in Jeddah and not being allowed to. Uh, so, so those who coerce, who force, who traffic, who abuse, and the woman is 100% innocent, rest assured, in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are not a bad person. That's very important. Remember, وَمَا يكرهن فإن الله من بعد إكراههن غفور رحيم. And if someone coerces them, then after such a coercion, Allah is certainly all forgiving, most merciful to them. So we understand these verses to speak about the importance of marriage, that we should help the those who would like to get married, both men and women, not to be not to be demanding at all. And if you have the means, as the either parent, you should help this newly established family. Forget about the cultural norms, as if the your own daughter is not entitled for your help, but you'd go far and wide in helping your. You'd go to all, you know. You're willing to sacrifice even to help your own son. Why not also help your own daughter? And don't forget, marriage does not prevent you from being successful in life, from education. All that you need is to have the right intention to organize your time to have the that momentum, uh, and you seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from inability and laziness in this life. The next verse is the reason why this surah is called Surah An-Nur, Allah Nur Samawat al-Ard. We will inshallah deal with it in the next session. Until then, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.